Sweet. The bullpen is back in the green room.
Are we back live on Facebook? Hey, we are back live on Facebook. Welcome into the Bullpen Podcast. Now, you missed out on some very creative, colorful conversation about national... if you're watching on Facebook, you just saw Brandon sit down. Oh, well, no, I guess you didn't. But we're here in the Bullpen. Everybody's back. We're live on Facebook for the second time. We're in a new room that's not green, but it is called the Green Room. Brandon, Evan, JP, Dan back in the Bullpen for the week of May 19th. Gentlemen, how's your week going?
Bueno. Mine's over after today. I'm out of here.
Damn,
this guy
must be nice. King of the vacation.
This guy taking off.
Yeah, it's those full-time perks. If you're watching this, Mr. Dornbush, we love to take some vacations as well.
We can take vacations, we just don't get paid for it.
That is true.
I need that PTO in my life one time.
Yes, sir. All right, well, the NBA Draft Lottery was I guess, the big news of the week as far as...
Favorite story about it.
Yeah.
I just think it's tight that we all now know that it's fixed.
I'm just trying to. I know where my mic is.
Depressive.
We've lost Brandon's mic. He's speaking very, very loud. Okay, so the NBA Draft Lottery was this week, and the 76ers finally won something. They did win the draft lottery. They will have the first overall
Let's
selection.
talk about the bigger story here, though, is that we now all know that the draft lottery is fixed. Matumbo dropped that tweet,
So,
and he's a stand-up
this is an
guy.
interesting story here.
yeah, because here's the thing about that. Matumbo puts that out like 3 hours before the lottery about, like, congrats to the Sixers on getting the number one pick. But then Dino Raja put one out as well saying, hey, congrats to the Celtics on
I
getting
think
the number
Dino
one
was
pick.
taking a shot.
Yeah, he was trying to be cute, and it didn't work.
Did you notice how he spelled? Like he
Yeah.
even spoke. He even wrote the tweet in broken English.
Yeah, that's true. My thought is either A, he is trying to take a shot at Dikembe, or B, the NBA was getting former players for each team in the lottery to tweet that out if they got the number one pick, and they just didn't follow the directions
Or
of the pick
A,
and did not save the draft.
Or A, the jig is up, NBA, and we all know that you guys are pulling fast
That's
ones
what everyone
in the
would
back
like to
room.
think. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Either way, fixed or not, the Sixers will have the top overall selection. The Lakers number
Again.
2. They hold on to that pick.
They're going to take another 6'10" guy.
The Celtics at 3, Suns at 4, T-Pups 5, Mr. Velasquez.
The future. The future is now.
So before we get into this a little bit, we did have a contribution from our good friend Cliff that at the Mason Report. He asks,
He's
obvious.
supposedly watching right now, but he's complaining about the free Starbucks Wi-Fi being too slow to support Facebook Live.
Well, Cliff, thanks for trying, buddy.
we do appreciate that.
Are you monitoring the Facebook feed, by the way? If you
I
are
am.
watching us
I am.
on Facebook,
A for effort.
here's a hint. If you see a button that says live subscribe on your screen, click that button because then you'll get notified when we go live. Okay.
Click, click, click.
So Cliff, he wrote in at the Bullpen Pod, it's obvious the Sixers and Lakers will draft Simmons and Ingram top 2, but who should the Celtics take with the 3rd pick? This got us thinking, let's do a mock draft for the top 5, guys. The Sixers and Lakers, are we convinced that Ingram and Simmons are going to go 1-2 for sure? Is it a guarantee?
Every GM on the planet Earth
Right.
has said so.
I think Simmons goes 1 though.
Yeah,
Because
so
they're not going to take. I mean, they don't need another. I joked earlier. They don't need another 6'10" guy. They've got Noel, Embiid, and Okafor. They've drafted the last 3 first rounds.
Right, his skill size is different in terms of 6'10", though. He's 240, so, I mean, he's kind of more of an outside guy, really. He happens to be 6'10", but I don't think his post game is
An
really...
outside guy with no jump shot whatsoever.
Yeah,
Right.
true. His shooting, Ingram's a much better shooter, and that's why Ingram should be the pick.
But Ingram only, like that 195 that it says he weighs is probably false.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's
Is
around
that is that
180?
wet in wet clothes?
That's like 175 soaking wet.
They showed his photo during the lottery. He's got to be the skinniest mofo I've seen in my life.
Ever.
Did you watch him play at all this
Ever.
year?
Yeah.
It was yeah. But he's very athletic though for a guy that size.
I give him that, but when he gets in the league, like my greatest
No, he
example
needs to-
or hypothetical is like what happens when he gets screened onto Bron?
So, to answer...
He needs to eat some top ramen.
To
A
answer
lot
the
of it.
question submitted about Boston,
this is where it gets interesting at 3.
I think they trade it
Really?
because, and not to get more picks because they already have 8 this year, 7 of which they've gotten through other trades. They need a veteran, a guy, if they're going to contend next year in the East. They had a great year, 48 wins, I think. based on who they got already.
Yeah.
There's already talk that Chris Dunn's representatives don't want him going there, don't want him going to a team that's got a point guard. They've got Isaiah Thomas, who's the star of that team right now.
Well, and they got Marcus Smart, too.
They need that veteran cog somewhere in that starting five, though. I think you take some of those pieces, you dish them off for a vet. Who? That's the question.
Paul George.
Nah, they need a power forward. They don't have a power forward at all. I mean, Jared Sellinger's fat. Jonas isn't really good. I mean, Amir Johnson and Kelly Olynyk at center. We're in a little guy league
Don't they
now.
have a Zeller somewhere in there?
Tyler is the bench warmer in the sweats. Like, they could really use a 4 really bad. A 3 or a 4.
Well, if they do keep the pick, they'll probably take that foreign guy.
So yeah, here I looked up
Dragon
at several
Bender,
mock
whatever his
drafts to contribute to this, and we'll just say 60% of the mock drafts that I looked up had Dragon Bender going number 3 to the Celtics.
Sounds like that guy from
The other two
Futurama.
guys on this list, Jamal Murray and Buddy Hield, actually going all the way up to 3.
You
Which is
know,
the first person
I'm
I
a
saw.
humongous Buddy Hield fan, but he's going to be behind a bunch of shooters already. And
Right.
he'll be playing behind Evan Turner starting out. R.J. Hunter, who hit some magical shots in NCAA tournament, he doesn't really get burned. Avery Bradley does play a lot because he is a great on-ball defender at the point. And Marcus Smart is a beast who plays point guard. He's still the same size as the average 2 in the NBA. So I don't know. I wouldn't sit Buddy Hield with his level of talent, so I don't think he should go to Boston. But again, they got 8 picks, which means they could cut half this team and start fresh. And it wouldn't really matter. So
So where does Phoenix go then at 4? If
they only draft people from Kentucky.
if
so.
Bender's still there,
Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. Literally, they'll pick Jamal Murray.
Interestingly, not one of these major sports outlet mock drafts had Murray going to Phoenix.
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen
I heard
Brown
they're
is the
really
pick
high
that
on
they're
Jaylen
going with,
Brown.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Until draft day when they take Jamal Murray.
Right. That's how it'll go.
Because they're the Phoenix Wildcats.
Or they'll take Buddy Hield or something like that.
if he's available.
Yeah. Although they kind of have that already in Devin Booker. I don't know if they're going to go true guard. What? Booker was first team
No, I agree with you.
all-rookie,
I'm shaking my head in agreement that
Oh,
there's no
okay.
need for them to get another
He was
off guard.
shaking his head in agreement.
I mean,
Evan tends to do that.
you can still upgrade. I mean, Buddy Hield is probably better than Devin Booker. If you're going with best available on the board.
Booker had some impressive stretches this year, though.
He's
Yeah.
cool, but he's not Buddy Hield.
Right. And
He's not mature like a Buddy
he can
Hield.
barely get into the club right now.
Yeah, so
The 18
Yeah,
and
that's
over
true.
club.
Yeah.
All right, so 4, that's Phoenix. 5, we've got the Pups. And Brandon, what do you want
Buddy
them to
Hield.
grab?
Buddy
Hield.
Hield
Okay.
or Chris Dunn.
I was gonna say Dunn will be available at 6.
I want
at
a
5.
4-year college guy. I want a guy. I don't need another 18-year-old project. Not to say that Towns and Wiggins and Levine. Not to say those guys weren't good picks. And I know Wiggins wasn't a Minnesota pick, but still, like we need a guy who knows how to win, can come in and at least raise the age limit of this team a little bit. Because I remember the joke last year was Kevin Garnett, Tayshaun Prince, and the rest of the Minnesota Timberwolves try to walk into the bar, because they were all so young. They need another older guy that knows how to win. I would really like Chris Dunn just because he could sit behind Rubio and then eventually take over for him, and then they can dump Rubio's contract at some point.
Maybe he can get Rubio in the weight room.
Maybe he pushes Rubio to try to be better. So either one of those guys, I'd be really happy with for the T-Pups.
The interesting story that Woj broke on Wednesday about Dunn is the fact that his agents did not let him go through the physical at the draft combine. And what happens when that occurs and you don't go through that physical is teams do not get your reports, your medical reports. Mm-hmm. They do not want him going to a team with a young point guard like Isaiah Thomas in Boston, like Phoenix with a Brandon Knight. So do you open up a guy with slightly older like Rubio that he could eventually kind of learn from and eventually take over? That could be a good situation in Minnesota.
Brandon Knight stays getting dunked on. His spot is never supplanted.
Yeah.
Also, because Chris Dunn is so skilled, I don't see why he's not able to play the 2 on any of these top 5
I
teams.
can see the Suns taking him.
Like, you could
I
fully
totally
move
can
him
see the
over and be
Suns
like,
taking
look,
him.
when they pass you the rock, do what you do. You don't need to dish. Like, your job now
What
is
was
to
it
score.
that Mark Spears said about him yesterday, and I really liked what he
Who?
said about Chris Dunn. Yeah, former colleague Mark.
Former
Spears.
Yahoo great.
Yeah,
Whoa.
he said he has that dog, which is a really good point. Like he has that fight and that nastiness to him that you don't see in a lot of kids these days. So
Hey, he got that Westbrook.
yeah.
Minus the turnovers.
There you go.
Minus the dance moves.
He's Westbrook minus the moves, and that's all on live.
That's
right now.
perfect. For the 4 viewers we have.
Let us know what you think of Evan Doherty's dance moves.
Yeah.
Wow. Evan Westbrook.
We'll
just
pass all
because-
comments along to his fiance.
Just because we have a rooting interest in the bullpen here, I'll bring up some other names that were mentioned. SI said Henry Ellenson out of Marquette for Minnesota at 5.
I saw that a lot just because like they need another guy. Like that's in theory moving like Towns to center, and he's more of a stretch 4 that can kind of keep it open, and then you're effectively playing like 4 around the arc, and then you've got Towns in the middle, which would be interesting. But I think they want to go with guys that can run because this team, they love to go up and down the court. I don't know if Tibbs is really going to bring that into it, though. It probably is going to be a very different and a very interesting transition to watch this young team slow things down a little bit because he's more of a grinded out defensive guy. So
NBA had Buddy Hield, and Yahoo, our own, actually had Chris Jenkins at 5 to the T-Pups.
That's high for Jenkins.
Yeah, that
I agree, but I just thought we
pick-
could
that
talk
Jenkins
about
pick
that.
is weird.
That's the Yahoo. That was the recent Yahoo mock draft.
Is that
sure.
Woj is doing or Mannix?
not sure I agree with that one. But
Or was that Andy Barons?
Andy Barons, by the way, is now watching us live. He's commenting.
Andy Barnes, does he have something to offer to the conversation here?
Jacopoto.
He said, I'm willing to give them Nico for the pick. Or no pick, or for no pick at all. They can just take Nico away. Then he says, "Oh wait, I forgot I'm a T-Wolves fan now. Never mind."
Andy Barons
is on the board. He is on the bandwagon this year.
Very good.
Jacopoto.
Told him I'm going to get him a jersey. I'm actually going to go up to Chicago whenever the T-Wolves play there, and we're going to go to the game. We talked about that, so we'll do a pod from there.
Barons, what's up? If you flying people out, I'm trying
No,
to see
I'm
John
not
Wall.
to pay for my own flight.
Throw it on that car so we can see John Wall running up and down the court on y'all.
There was no Barons flight, card.
The NBA playoffs roll on here. Let's take a look at our pool as I'm the only one that has been eliminated from the competition as the Spurs
Rightfully so.
no longer in the postseason. Yes, that's rightfully so. If anybody should not be in the NBA
I mean,
pool,
I don't
it's
pay
me.
that much attention to the NBA, but you pay far less.
Far less. A+ still has the Warriors. Velasquez has the Cavs. JP, 2 teams left. The Raptors and Thunder.
one of which will make it.
Maybe.
My
Maybe.
cousin Durant, but the Raptors are about to get broomed up out of here.
Well, that brings us to Cliff's other question about the NBA playoffs. Are the Cavs this good, or is the Eastern Conference significantly worse than NBA fans realize? What do you guys think?
Nah, man, the Cavs got a good basketball team. I
yeah.
think people fail to realize last year in the finals, granted they lost, and you could what if through the roof. If LeBron had made those 3 layups, they would have been up 3-1 in that series. He had 3 games in his hands, and he didn't finish at the rim. And that was with his entire squad injured. A healthy Cavs team is pretty solid, and it's pretty good no matter which coach you're playing on.
For as much talk as there is about him being one of the best of all time, he's got to have the worst shooting percentage inside of 4 feet of any of those players.
Not in game 1.
No,
not in game 1.
Shot
Not
chart.
in game 1. That shot chart in the first half of game 1.
Right.
He was
All layups.
7 for 7, 1.3 feet average away from the basket.
But
That was-
the difference in that is that's a 35-point blowout.
I know.
Anytime it's one of the close games, I don't know how many times he's missing a 4-footer to 3-footer next to the basket.
And to your point, I don't understand why he doesn't play every game like that. Like, you are the Leonard Fournette of the NBA. You are a
Yeah.
silverback. You don't
Yeah.
need to shoot threes, dog. Go in there and beat people the hell up, get your buckets, make your free throws, walk out of here with a trophy on your back. But then he likes to get cute and pull up for like random threes, and I just get really confused
Gets Kevin Love involved for some reason.
as to why he's got the highest. Oh, look, someone on steroids.
Brian Cavan joining the bullpen.
Oh, wow.
We need to put a lock on that door.
Yeah, we really do.
He looks like a defensive tackle.
But no, I was going to say to the point on the Eastern Conference, didn't like the bottom teams in the East have better records than the bottom teams in the West?
yes, they did.
This year they did,
So
yeah.
I think it is really to JP's point that the Cavs are just that much better than the rest of the East.
Take that, Cliff Bayless.
All right, so we don't know who's coming out of the West yet, but, I mean, are the Cavs the new favorite to win the title here? Do you think so?
They still have to beat the champs, so you're not going to put the champs
Yeah.
out until the Cavaliers beat them.
I still put either team coming out of the West over Cleveland.
Oh, nah, not you. Not you. And you having to play against Kyrie and all of a sudden getting in your own head thinking you got to be the best. No way.
I'm confident.
You know what's funny?
More dancing
It's
from Ito on the Bullpen
Not
podcast.
only did you get playing time, but your other doppelganger got some playing
I
time
said
in
that.
the fourth quarter, about 9 minutes.
I was tired last night, man.
And for some reason, Kyle Singler got some play last night too.
Worst haircut in the NBA.
God, looking like Simple Jack from what was that movie?
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Shout out to Keith Money who tweeted, "You guys are twins. You and Singler got the same haircut. You walking around San Francisco Pac-12 right now, looking foolish."
That was just a terrible do.
But back to A+'s point, we have seen what happens when Durant has to see Bron in the championship.
Yeah.
Bron going to lean all over skinny Durant, and all his shots in the fourth will be hitting the front of that rim because he's going to be tired from getting beat up by 6'7", 265 for 3 quarters. And then it'll have to be you by yourself turning the ball over, throwing stuff off the backboard.
Then you'll really get those triple doubles with the 10 turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
KD hit all the turnovers.
He did.
Too.
He had 8 last night.
Well, you guys are an equal opportunity team. You share the blame in turnovers.
Fair.
Until the Cavs
Spread it
win,
around.
they shouldn't be the favorite. Until they actually win.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what happens. A few more games to go. Suspensions handed down in Major League Baseball, boys. We had our first major brawl of the season. Major brawl.
how
I would
awesome
say
is
this is
that?
pretty good. This is good contact.
Finally.
8-game suspension for Ronid Odor.
Rogned.
Rougned, if you spell it the way I did all week.
I still am angry that the Rangers did not try to convince Major League Baseball that was his younger brother, Ronid Odor. Ronid Jose Odor.
Oh, yeah,
Not
not
Ronid Roberto Odor.
So should this have been 8 games, first of all? And then do you think Jose Bautista deserved what came down?
Well,
On
Bautista
his side.
slid really late.
Right.
He's been playing baseball for God knows how long. He's in his mid-30s. He knows when to slide into second. He slid maybe a foot from the bag is when he first decided to go down. So he knew he was trying to go into him. But I don't know if but Odor did a really good job of getting out of the way. He didn't really get hit. It wasn't like he got taken out and then he got up and hit him in the face. He kind of pirouetted out of the way and then just that smoothly transitioned into a punch to the face.
Well, I remember he pushed him first, and I feel like
that's what. Yeah,
I don't care about the slide. I get baseball. I play shortstop. I've seen worse. I've seen people always go cleat first with the metal spikes and tear people's knees up. Batista made the mistake of not putting his hands up after he got pushed. He got pushed and then had the wild idea to step forward with his hands down. Why did he step forward? He could have stepped back. He could have. Not saying he couldn't have run, but he could have just assessed the situation real fast and known who he was messing with. When he pushed him and then he stepped forward, that's when he got cold clocked. He shouldn't have stepped forward.
Yeah, and Odor's got the history too. He had the minor league game in Single A when he played for the Spokane Indians.
Batista didn't
where he
clinch a
did this.
fist because he was too slow, so that's his
Never-
fault. I don't know how to
I
fight.
don't think he thought he was going to get a punch.
Oh
thrown.
no, he thought about it. You could see, he was there and his hand was coming up, but it was too late.
Yeah, his right
God.
hand was up.
He's got to work on those hands.
You got to be more careful.
No, 8 games though.
I think that's a tad excessive.
It never happens in baseball, so I guess they had to come down with the hammer.
But here's the irony in all this, and we talked about this and did a video with this for Big League Stew this week. Odor gets 8 games for socking the guy in the face. I'm blanking on his name right now. Raul Mondesi
Junior.
takes the
gets
wrong kind of
50
cough
games,
syrup
yeah.
and gets 50 games.
Yeah, well,
It's a
Raul
6-time
Mondesi
worse
Jr.
punishment.
Yeah,
you
but
got to check that Tussin, man.
But, I mean, come on now.
No.
A physical altercation to
seriously,
cough syrup.
The suspensions, whether they're drug related or physical violence related in every sport, are just they're not consistent in any way, shape, or form.
True.
The suspensions in the NFL for weed are ridiculous.
Right.
Every player is doing it. It's just some are getting caught.
And you think about the percentage of the season. 8 games is what? 5% of the season.
Right.
Not even half of
yeah.
whatever it is. 5% of the season, right?
8 games.
4
is a week
games.
off
4 games for smoking pot is a quarter of the season.
Yeah, that's a month.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's also unpaid in the NFL. Are these guys getting paid when they get suspended here in baseball? I don't know.
I
the
don't know.
rule.
I don't know. I think it's. I think
you sacrifice
Yeah,
salary.
you sacrifice your paychecks. Yeah.
Well, their money's guaranteed anyway. So after the 8
Yeah.
games, he's still getting cashed out. So
I'm just thinking because I feel like when they do the pitcher suspensions and stuff like
It's
this
so
are longer
good 'cause they
because
give them 5
of their
games and it's
starts.
only one start.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
it was a great punch.
Yeah. it was.
Roughneck Odor.
Well, to your point, You were talking about it when it first happened, like on Monday. You were talking about how he swiped with his glove afterwards.
He slapped him with his left hand. He slapped him with the glove, and the camera guy got so excited he might have panned too quick. Like, nah, leave it. Like, he hit him with the right. And he was like, I really want to disrespect you in front of all your family. Bam. Came right down the left side of his face. But hey, man, Bautista learned a solid lesson there. Like, protect yourself at all times.
The question from at the Mason Report, follow him on Twitter if you like. Besides the obvious, why is violence in Major League Baseball and NHL excused or glorified compared to that same behavior in the NBA or the NHL? I don't know if it is glorified. In the NHL, I would give that more than baseball because you see scuffles and pushing and everybody running in for the bullpens, but I don't know. I don't know if
a lot of there's very few.
I wouldn't call it glorified
altercations there
in baseball.
They do like get in each other's faces and they try to like just puff out their chests a little bit. In the end, if you've got time for guys to run out from the bullpen, it's not really like a fight. Like it's just more like
I mean, it was not like the old Yankees Red Sox days when they used to really get into it. Well, Evan, you were going to say something about this. How is it different with the NBA and the NFL as opposed to baseball and hockey?
Well, I'm assuming what Cliff's trying to say is he thinks it's a race issue. I think that's where he's going with this.
That would be correct.
If you had to go with why is it glorified or not as vilified in baseball or hockey, I think it's because it's the nature of the game. Hockey, it's a part of the game.
It is part of the game.
It's always been a part of the game. That's the thing.
It's how you create power plays in some instances or penalty kills and so forth.
It's how they police themselves.
Right.
And I know that's not a good enough excuse for it, but it's how they police the game, and it's how they also a lot of times it's how captains will fire up their team. Now the thing is that the fighting in hockey amongst the enforcers, like if you follow the game and you watch the game, and I'm not saying Cliff doesn't, I'm sure he does. But like if you watch it, like a lot of these guys are talking before the face-off, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go? Do you want to go?" Like they respect each other. It's a little like MMA where they have mutual respect for each other, and they're not trying to kill each other. They're just trying to fire both of their teams up. Now, it's not prevalent in all of hockey. Like college, you can't do it. Like you get suspended immediately. You get kicked out of the game, and then you get suspended for the next game. I think in Europe you can't do it. I know you can't do it in the Olympics, obviously, either. But one thing is, if you took fighting out of hockey, it's already a fledgling sport that people are trying. The ratings are really bad right now anyway. If you take that out of there, that's going to really almost kills the sport in a way because it's been a part of its history for so long.
JP, what do you think here?
I think Cliff's greater point is that he is tapping into the mainstream media's over-fascination with negatively conditioning sheep to view black people in a certain manner. So when the black athletes fight or when they hit somebody, the famous word now is he's a thug or it's barbaric or Steven Adams, they're apes fighting, like stuff like that. And I feel like the NBA doesn't allow. I mean, back in the day, Jordan, Charles Oakley. I mean, those guys fought a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
well,
those guys.
But they also got called the same names and their penalties. It's a different sport, so I understand the penalties are going to be different than that was then. But the penalties were harsh, whereas you really don't fight. Like if you fight, you're going to miss a ton of time. Right. Whereas in hockey, like what is fighting? 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
In baseball, he wasn't saying that they actually fist fight, but people really do get geeked up when the bench is clear. Granted. 90% of the time, nothing happens.
It's usually Matt Kemp.
It riles up the crowd. And, I mean, football is the most physical of them all. And, if you fight in football, it's ignorant to fight if you're going to punch somebody in the helmet.
Norman.
Right. But I think in football, since it's such a physical sport, you can physically hit somebody really hard coming across the middle. That's how you can make up for not being able to fight in a way. I mean, but even then you get called for a ridiculous.
I mean, the Norman ODB thing was stupid, but look how the media spun it. Like they were the worst two people on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
But again,
but to your point,
fighting hockey.
If the refs would have stepped in and kicked them both out of the game right away after the first instance, maybe it wouldn't have kept going on, and then it wouldn't have gotten to the point where it got so bad that people are making such a big deal about it.
That's true. I tried to research it. Didn't Anson Carter get suspended when he was on the Bruins for the fight with that one guy when he damn near killed him?
Anson Carter wasn't it was Donald. Are you thinking of Donald
Brashear?
Were they both on the Bruins?
Well, he took the stick to the head.
Donald Brashear took the stick to the head.
Oh no, this was a fight, and he really beat some guy senseless. And I remember
Donald Brashear was more of an enforcer than Anson Carter was.
I just remember because Anderson Carter had the dreads.
Yeah.
And he beat a guy and then got
Oh,
suspended.
George LaRock.
Yeah.
That's who you're thinking of.
But how come he got suspended for that? I mean,
I can't remember the. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, you're
we'll
right.
fact check it later. But he got suspended. But people fight all the time and they don't get suspended. So like, this is the same argument.
To be honest with you, though, and the NHL fighting has been toned down a lot.
Agreed.
Since the lockout, like it's not as bad. Like back in the day, like in the '90s, when you had Probert and you had guys like LaRock and McSorley and those guys, they were just out there and they were slugging and hitting each other in the face until like blood was coming, and then they would get 5 minutes, and that's a tad ridiculous. Those guys need to be gone because if you don't kick them out in the first period, they're going to continue to do it. And I actually read Cliff's piece that he tagged us in on the thing, and his point where a lot of kids in AHL they try or young kids in Canadian hockey leagues, they try to come out and they fight to get attention of some people.
Same thing in the preseason.
He's right. They do because they want to be noticed, but their careers won't last that long in the NHL because if you can't score and you can't skate and you can't do this, you're eventually going to be phased out. You may have a good 4 or 5 year run.
You may win the All-Star MVP.
You may, like John Scott, yeah, you might be, and that's part of the story because he was a thug and he wasn't, and he was called a thug too because that's essentially what he was a lot of the time.
We can objectively discuss this, but mainstream is like, no, these black guys are barbaric and everybody else is playing their sport, so it's A-okay.
Yeah, he's got a point. It is, looked upon as okay. My mother can't stand it. She would actually be happy if hockey didn't have fighting in it anymore. But like we would go to games, and anytime there was a fight, she would be the only one standing up yelling, "Stop it! Stop
but
it!
I know,
Stop it, you guys!
But I know you've been to a ton of hockey games. When there's a fight on the ice, there's a fight in the crowd. Like it's the same thing. Like if somebody's getting punched in the face on the ice, there are grown people punching each other in the face in the stands.
That's just stupid. So I get what he's saying, and it is. There is a double standard in terms of leagues.
All right, Cliff, you're 1 for 1.
Another story this week, college football. The University of Alabama has offered a scholarship to an 8th grader, boys.
Yo, have you seen Jesus's highlight tape?
Now, that notwithstanding.
Is his name Jesus?
That notwithstanding.
Shuttlesworth?
Nah, it's Jesus.
But my question is
Jesus Machado. So it's Jesus.
Oh, okay.
I think he's Dominican, but he's black for all intents and purposes, and he's a beast.
So the question I have is, when is it too early? I mean,
never.
this seems like this kid is 14 years old.
That we've seen this before. I think USC did this with a quarterback years ago. It might have been like a 7th grader or even earlier, a 12-year-old, I think, if I remember right.
Barkley did it as a freshman. Max Brown, who should be the quarterback this year, was 8th grade.
In my opinion, I don't think
too early?
I don't think they should be able to do it until freshman year of high school at the earliest. Because
this ain't no 8th grader?
No, I'm not saying the kid's like not talented or not worthy of a scholarship. He clearly is a talented football player looking at this tape. But you don't know what the kid might eventually go down in terms of maybe eventually finds another sport. Maybe he gets hurt seriously in the middle.
Yeah.
He didn't sign. He just got offered.
He just got offered.
I would also say if this was my kid and he's getting a scholarship offer in 8th grade, part of my job as a parent is to continually push them to work hard and do better. But are they getting satisfied too early? Oh, I'm already getting a scholarship offer from Alabama. I don't need to go. I don't need to go to school. I don't need to do my homework. I don't need to practice if I already know Alabama wants me.
Well, the thing is, Alabama's going to know that too. They're not just going to offer the kid. And be
Alabama
like,
doesn't care about
we'll see you in 4 years.
That's exactly what they'll do.
Yeah.
They don't care. Saban will take.
I agree with that.
I'm with you though. Like in the words of one Ryan Dorbish, I'm sure they broached and vetted this young man thoroughly to make him the first 8th grade defensive player they've ever offered a scholarship to. And they want to be first, being as they see that he's potentially going to be
But there's so
like
much
Miles
growing.
Jack or
There's so much growing mentally, physically for him to do over the 4 years.
oh yeah,
after that.
he gonna get big.
Just because he's a good kid now doesn't mean he's going to be a good kid at the end of the 4 years.
Well, they're banking on him being great 4 years from now.
I mean, I was pretty good when I was like 10 at baseball, and then
Yeah,
it kind of went downhill after that. So.
I just feel like there needs to be a limit on what you can. I mean,
like
he shouldn't even
be able to
talking.
walk into a
Shouldn't even-
delivery room and hand it to a newborn.
Yeah,
baby
exactly.
and be like, all right,
I mean, if
your
if
dad was a Super Bowl winning, quarterback, and your
They
mom
offer scholarships in high school, though. I mean, when I was at MacArthur for a year, Mater Dei, Rollinson came to the flag football championship game and handed each of the kids that he wanted an envelope that we took home to our parents that opened up. It was an application to Mater Dei. Like, would you like to come here and play football?
But
like,
I mean, I get that to some degree, although they're not technically supposed to recruit for private schools, even
Correct.
though they do in high school. I mean,
But that's for high school.
again, I understand that.
Football's big business. That's why this totally makes sense.
I
We're
just
in
feel
here to
like
make money.
And this, maybe I'm the only one on this ledge here, but I feel like they should be at least a junior before you can even talk to a college.
I think that's essential. Like you can't talk or you can't take visits until you're a junior, right?
So then what's the
Officially.
Okay, officially.
But you can take unofficial. Remember, like you haven't signed as a high schooler. I can get flown out wherever. I don't have to tell you that I went to Clemson with Dabo or I was with Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. Like I'm just out here. Like I'm not clearinghouse hasn't happened. I'm not an NCAA student. Like I can do whatever. I can take the money. I can take the gifts. If you catch me on the flip side, then I have an issue. That's kind of like how LeBron got the Hummer and stuff. Like, well, you didn't get me, so I kind of kept it, and then later on you found out it was kind of shady, but hey, too late.
All right.
So
well,
there's no way to stop that money train.
what do you think on Facebook? Do we have any comments on Facebook on this? Anybody
I don't know,
commenting?
but the upward vocabulary has got us some more viewers. We're up to 6 right
We've
now.
got 6 viewers on Facebook. This is some kind of record.
Bless your souls.
And by
Thank you
that,
for
we
tuning
mean
in.
It is a record.
It is a record.
Yeah.
Jason Chan,
you
watching?
tuned in at just the right time because we're going to talk horse racing.
Can we hire Cliff? Because he's just like posting YouTube links of Jesus Machado.
This is great.
On our thing here. Like we don't even
At
need
this
to
point,
look him up.
With how many questions he's sending us, we're going to need to pay him.
I know. Pretty soon. I mean, how about this? We will split our income equally for this podcast,
All right.
and we'll send him a share of what we're all earning on this.
In like 2 weeks, the Mason Report is moving to Portland, Oregon to open up a strip club.
Cliff does agree with you though that he's with you. He says
Excellent,
that you have
Cliff.
to wait
Smart,
until your
smart
junior
man,
year.
smart.
Cliff, don't make me tell them your high school story.
Oh no!
Don't you
Can we have a special
Do it,
special
Cliff.
edition podcast?
Because you have a very unique circumstance to get to the mountaintop that you are now on.
Any response from Cliff on the Facebook
JP,
feed?
if you don't stop spreading lies.
We're actually interacting with our fan base.
I know, this is great. I kind of like this.
All right. As I said, we have 6. We have 6 viewers. We're up to 6.
You're down to 5.
We're down to 5. All right. The 5 of you watching.
They
one
were
of-
tired of us tooting our own horn.
one of which is Brandon over there.
Yeah.
It's time to choose our Preakness winner based on names
Ooh.
only.
This is where
We have an 11 team. We have an 11 team bracket here.
Already picked my
They
exaggerator.
were seeded by odds, and I'm going to do this off mic here. So let's start with the play-in games. We have Lonnie versus Abiding Star.
Wait. Are
This
these
is an 8 versus
He's
9.
going to be on True TV on Tuesday.
Exactly. Lonnie versus Abiding Star. Names only, guys. What do you think?
Remember, 40 and I discussed this at length yesterday. My favorite esteemed colleague, Patrick Fordation.
I'm glad for you.
Mr. 40, will you please send Dan a gift basket, please? He feels that you've slighted him in life.
All right, Lonnie versus Abiding Star. Evan, your pick on that one.
I'm going with Abiding Star.
Abiding Star. Lauban versus Awesome Speed. JP, this is you because I know you like
I'm going with the awesome.
Awesome Speed. Brobes Fellowship versus Uncle Lino.
Oh, Uncle Lino all day. I'd have a beer with that guy. Or
All right.
horse.
So advancing from the first round to take on the favorite Nyquist is Abiding Star. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Nyquist.
NyQuil.
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
Night,
Yeah.
night.
All right, I'm filling out the bracket. You can't see on Facebook because I only have 2 hands, but that's fine. Nyquist advances. Collected versus Cherry Wine. This is one that you guys have to...
Hey, Collected is buff. I'm going with Collected.
Okay, I haven't seen a picture. I'm just
Names
gonna roll
only.
with JP because he's actually following this a little bit. So
I'm going Cherry Wine. Ev, what are you going with?
It probably wouldn't taste good, so I don't know about cherry wine.
All right, we're going Collected
Sorry.
on that one.
Watch Cherry Wine.
I was
man.
hoping that Cliff could be our tiebreaker on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go.
If we run into a tiebreaker, we'll ask.
Stradivari versus Uncle Lino. Now,
Well, a Stradivari is a violin.
It is a
so
violin.
I will go with the music.
I'm going Uncle Lino.
Lino. Whoa. Something like that?
He's very musical today.
I want to go with Stradivari just so we can get Cliff to break.
All
the
right,
tie.
so Cliff, break the tie. Stradivari or Uncle Lino? Who wins based on name only?
Hopefully he's not the
Should we
sixth one.
should we jump the I know.
I'll go to the next one as we wait for Cliff's response.
Hurry.
Exaggerator versus Awesome Speed.
Man, exaggerator.
But, well, okay. What do you think, guys? How can you not have Awesome Speed?
Dog, exaggerator's name just sounds like it's a fast horse.
Yeah.
Like, I've already BS'd you, so I'm going to win regardless.
But does
'cause
he
I'm
have
fast.
awesome speed? The answer is no. Awesome speed's the winner.
Damn.
I'm going
Bro.
with I'm staying with exaggerator. In real life and in the game.
Any comments?
I like awesome speed.
All right, we'll go with Awesome Speed then. I'm crossing out it. I had it written already. All right, did Cliff chime in on his tiebreaker?
No, but here we go. Cliff with Stradivari.
Stradivari, the violin moves on.
Although my girlfriend chimed in with Uncle Lino, so if
All right, Andy, you're the
are you
tiebreaker.
still watching?
Ask her about exaggerator and awesome speed. Let's get exaggerator's numbers back up.
This must be the most compelling podcast you've ever listened to at this juncture. All right, so here's our final four, guys. Nyquist, Collected, Awesome Speed, Stradivari. First, Nyquist versus Collected.
Man, it's gonna be NyQuil.
As a hockey fan, I'll go there, too.
Yeah, Nyquist, yeah.
Agreed.
Awesome Speed, Stradivari, guys.
Ryan Nyquist.
Awesome Speed,
Awesome
Stradivari.
sauce.
I'm going with exaggerator.
Exaggerator was upset in the second round.
It's double elimination.
Oh, is it double
He
elimination?
gets
Hold on, I got to redraw the bracket then. Hold
Go
on.
with exaggerator as a late draw.
Awesome Speed, Stradivari.
Stradivari's a good name. I'm going Stradivari.
The violin.
Stradivari.
The,
All right.
the string section.
The final, Stradivari versus Nyquist, gentlemen.
I will go with the orchestra.
I'm with you on that.
I'm getting my Kanye on.
We're going Stradivari.
I'm going Stradivari for
Are
the
we?
win.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's upset.
I like it. Stradivari is actually the third most favorite horse. So that's your bullpen podcast pick for the Preakness. Run down to your off-track betting place.
What was the
Offshore,
odds
off-track.
on Stradivari again?
Offshore betting
Offshore
spot.
betting. Go online.
This guy has his bank account.
Yeah,
over
I'm
here.
sure.
Why don't you just go?
No wonder he's so cool with getting married. He's got
He's like,
that
oh,
private
man.
account.
Why don't you just
Hit
go?
that 14 parlay last week.
Wait, why don't you just go ask Uncle Lino to place your bet?
Uncle Lino take care of that for you. No problem. Run out. I think maybe we'll put in a Preakness Superfecta too with our final four.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, so that's the
Exaggerator.
Preakness. One of these times we'll have 40 on to talk horses or college basketball or something. Hopefully we can get him on.
Well, it'll just be JP and 40 talking.
That's
the
true.
rest of us.
That's true. All right, here we go. NFL time. A couple of NFL stories to discuss this week on the Bullpen Podcast. 9 in 10 Native Americans do not hate the Redskins name. JP, why don't you start with this one?
Who's shocked? Not I.
Only 10% of
Not
people,
shocked.
only 10% of Native Americans are not offended, or are offended, I'm sorry, by the Redskins.
My
as a
issue
team
with
name.
this is that the Redskins name has been so for decades. And it feels like just like 2 years ago, everybody hopped on this bandwagon, like riding whoever's nuts it was that this was the worst name on the planet Earth. And my thing was growing up as a diehard Redskin fan, when Jack King Cook was the owner, he was a great human. He was a philanthropist. He gave back. Like, everybody loved the team, win, lose, or draw, because they were a great franchise. He died. Kids got in an argument over money, sold the squad. In comes Daniel Snyder, who everyone loathes.
Yeah.
And now the name is the worst thing ever. But if Jack King Cook was still alive and the Redskins were still feeding the homeless, putting clothes on people, toy drives, food drives,
Yeah.
giving back to the greater community, I bet nobody would be screaming that this is a terrible name. Who's the guy who comes in here sometimes that was at ABC, who was filling in on Sundays when we first started doing FFL? So he came in here one day. Here's a story. I hope you're watching. And was like, I don't like your hoodie. It's setting a very, very bad example. And I was like, that's cool. He was like, yeah, it's not a good thing for you to be wearing such a slanderous emblem. I was like, yeah, but in 2006, were you saying the same thing? No. He just stared back. And I was like, yeah, man, go on set and read your scripts. Like, what's the point of this? If you haven't been riding all your life, why are you riding now?
Can't argue with that.
Like, I lived in D.C. back in the early 90s for about 4 years. And again, like, nobody talked about this. Like, the Redskins were, like he said, they were a great organization. They were always out, doing great stuff in the community. And it was a complete afterthought. Now, for me, my family, my father went to the University of North Dakota. They used to be called the Fighting Sioux. They are no longer called the Fighting Sioux because of all the, because of a lot of teams are dropping, Native American nicknames. we never grew up and thought like, oh man, this is like, we never like use it in a disparaging way. We never like they're the Fighting Sioux. They're prideful in their act. Nobody's telling the Fighting Irish to get rid of their name. Evan, are you offended by the Fighting Irish? Like nobody's telling them.
No,
to get
we
rid
fight
of
all
their
the
nickname.
time, so I'm not offended.
And so it's not like it's not. I if you are Native American and you're offended by it, I understand that, but I don't get why there are so many people like the aforementioned person you were talking about who get offended when they're. I mean, I don't know if he is.
He's not Native American.
So like that's the thing that kind of gets me a little bit too. Like if you're not part of that subset, and it really shouldn't like have. I mean, I guess it does have an effect on a lot of people. I guess in society nowadays, we're very sensitive and we're very PC, and I get that. I'm not trying to sound like I'm not, but it just seems like JP said a couple years ago, I was at the Vikings-Redskins game in Minnesota, and I remember this was just starting to blow up. I was walking in, and everybody's out there. There's protesters, like there was hundreds of protesters outside the Metrodome, and I was like, this is insane to me. Like
People need a cause
they
sometimes.
were trying to say, like, if you want to make a difference in this, and you want them to stop using it or whatever, you need to hit them where it hurts, and that's the wallet. But that means you got to stop going to games, you got to stop buying their gear, and that's just not going to happen because it's the NFL and they're a money machine.
The second most profitable squad next to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Losing or winning. My thing is like Lil Duval, one of my favorite comedians. He tweets almost every other morning. What are we fake caring about today? Because somebody always wants to get up and argue with somebody about something, anything that you can latch onto so you can feel like you're a part of something. This is one of those.
That is no doubt. But clearly the Native Americans don't seem to mind. Only 10%.
Well, I will say this about it. I haven't chimed in on this, but I will say that there were quite a bit of Native Americans or people with Native American heritage on Twitter Thursday who were very upset with the Washington Post about this survey, saying, no, there's plenty of us that still do not like this name. So don't think because you put a poll out that's out to 504 people.
Right.
I guess
not quite indicative of
the
everybody.
poll results were small, but this was also a newspaper who's very adamantly against the nickname. And so for them to put out this poll and show that 9 out of 10,
that was interesting.
That's a very interesting, dynamic that came across in this one. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Some late-breaking news from the NFL today on Thursday.
Also, sorry, Cliff, for not holding the mic closer.
Yeah.
Oh, where are you coaching? Coach
Good
Mason?
job. Yeah, I got you almost all the way turned up over here.
Cliff now gets my shares as well.
Yes.
Wowzers.
Some late-breaking news from the NFL today. The Pro Bowl, everybody's favorite late January activity, weekend activity. I mean, they line up for this thing, is moving to Orlando. Anybody care?
Get excited.
Orlando sucks if you don't have kids.
Hey, that's home of the Cure Bowl, man. Cure Bowl champions.
Who
Isn't
played
that
who
also
played in
home
that?
of
Exactly.
the great Eric Adelson? Isn't he an Orlando guy?
Yes, he is.
So at least
Anybody care about the Pro Bowl moving to
I
Orlando?
don't understand how they feel like this is going to bring any more excitement or make it any more relevant.
Move it to Vegas and then we'll talk.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was Honolulu. Keeping it in Honolulu was one choice.
Sydney, Australia.
Sydney was another one, and then
What?
moving it to Houston before the Super Bowl, like they did years ago in Miami. I don't get it. I think the Pro Bowl will go away.
I think you do it.
sometime.
I'm not a big all-star game person to begin with. Like in
Yeah.
any sport, I think they're all kind of just like popularity contests, and I can really do without them. But I mean, if you want to have like an all-star team, go ahead and have an all-star team and name it. I don't necessarily need to see the exhibition game behind it. But the Pro Bowl is it's the worst out of them all, just based on the fact that it's after the season. You usually end up naming 6 quarterbacks, but the 12th best quarterback ends up still playing because 6 guys in front of him drop out and they don't want to play, and rightfully so. And then you've got guys who get named, but they're in the Super Bowl, so they don't play. So you end up like half the league is almost a Pro Bowler at that point.
So you're saying golf is going to make the Pro Bowl?
Probably, he might. I mean,
Because
We had that discussion
I
last
know we
week.
had that discussion.
Because he's healthy.
But we said that he has to be named. He can't be an alternate.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he's fully going to be an alternate.
All right, so nobody cares officially.
Well, Cliff says it should stay in the continental U.S.
Well, and it will apparently
Yeah.
now. Joe Overby, one of our listeners,
He actually gave this posted on Facebook. So
This is a good one.
Our first question on Facebook.
Ask JP question is for the whole crew minus Dan. Best food you ate in Chicago during the NFL draft, since I wasn't in Chicago for the NFL draft. Best food, guys. We'll make that this week's random shot.
This year we didn't get the deep dish. I didn't. At least.
That bag of Funyuns I had on the first night was pretty solid.
On the way home from the bar, 2 bags of Funyuns.
I did order a rotisserie chicken Caesar salad that came with literally 4 Lay's chips on top.
Sweet.
That was a very
sounds
interesting
awesome.
combination that no one understood, including myself.
It's like 3 weeks ago. I can't remember what I ate 3 weeks ago.
I had a deep dish pizza at 3 a.m.
Did you guys not go to any eclectic restaurants at all?
No.
We worked.
We worked, Dan.
Yeah.
So we would get to the theater around like 3 o'clock, and we're there
No
until
good breakfast
like
spots?
1.
We got to tell the
No,
masses
Lisa and
that,
eggs?
This is kind of fractured here. There's an A team.
Yeah.
Okay, there's everybody else. Okay, now the
we
A team has to clock in.
We were
Okay.
doing work.
I mean, I left
Thank
Chicago.
God, Chicago. The bar stayed open till 4.
I left Chicago with a bad back. Okay, from carrying the squad. Okay. The A team, okay, we was carrying people, so we all came back like needing a brace.
I
gonna
needed a
step out.
walker for the first couple of days.
Right?
Just going to step out. Just going to let you guys figure this one
You
out.
would have busted your tail if you.
No.
were there with us.
I wasn't there. I'm not going to take any blame or credit for
The
anything.
bar with the Moscow Mules had actually great food.
Yeah, that was really good. Those wings
So-
were phenomenal.
Miller's
Miller's Pub.
They
Joe,
got
that's
great
your
food.
answer. Miller's Pub wings.
They stay
with
open
a
until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Best thing
with
on
a-
the planet.
Yeah.
with a mule sidecar.
And they had some
That's
really
it.
good cheese curds too that I had one night.
And cheese curds.
Right off the red line.
Yeah, right out. Yeah.
Perfect. Next time in Chicago.
Tons
Miller's.
of
Well, you know what's funny? Joe was actually in Chicago when we were there.
Why didn't he show up?
He was there for his brother's bachelor party. I told him that first night we were out.
So,
and
Joe, you telling me that you didn't want to bring your strippers to Miller's Pub to hang out for a little bit? Okay. I'll remember that. I'm taking a little mental note.
The other member of the A team, Jason Chan, chimed in.
Is he online?
Yeah.
What'd
The
he have?
Skittles in the media workroom were delicious.
There you go.
Wow.
Jason Chan also in Chicago. for the
Those
draft.
didn't last very long.
Yeah, those are gone real quick.
Sean King.
Man. All right, off the rails completely. All right, well, I think that's going to do it, guys.
No.
Oh, we talk suggestion.
We're talking baby names.
All right,
here. Daniel's
so
wife is about to pop.
For those listeners of the podcast, you probably know that I will be having, my wife and I will be having our
podcast is actually going to be from Dan's house.
Probably. We are expecting.
Are you going with the natural water birth?
in the next couple weeks? So the guys wanted to kick around some
Kiddie
names. Cliff and Jay-Sean can contribute to this conversation as well if they're still online.
That's a
We're
yes.
taking suggestions for baby names at this point.
Are you really having an all-natural water birth in like a big kiddie pool?
No,
Are you going to the hospital?
we're going to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
You guys come on down. We'll do it from the waiting room.
Oh,
It's all
yeah,
good.
that'd be fantastic.
Yo, some of these new names, come on, man.
So these,
These
there's
are
a
the
few names
suggestions that you guys have killed.
these are rejected
See,
names.
full disclosure, I asked Dan if we could do
Oh,
a
these are
bracket of the
rejected.
4 names that he and his
We
wife.
have 4 names
They
remaining.
have 4 names remaining. I asked if we could get those 4 names, and
But-
then we would do a bracket. He doesn't want to divulge.
We're
them.
willing to expand the field if there's some good suggestions out there. So feel free
Hey,
to pitch
everybody who's listening, Dan's a liar.
Exaggerator.
some. Exaggerator. We have 5 finalists for the
Exaggerator
name.
Harris.
Stradivari.
6 finalists now. How about Lino? I want to go straight up with Lino.
I'm going to call your second kid Uncle Lino Harris for the rest of his poor life.
Why does Uncle
man.
Brandon call me Uncle Lino? I don't understand. I'm so glad that you said out loud, here are some of the rejected, because I didn't see rejected. I said, we'll take suggestions. And I was like, Bryce Toby. Did you want your son to get punched in the face every day? Like what? Tobias Harris? Nah,
Don't call him Jose.
Doesn't he play for the Magic?
he does. Maximus? I mean, that would have been cool if he had. I mean,
Jonah, some of these are a little biblical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I read
they
the-
would be.
yeah,